My sister said, "You'll regret not helping with Mom's funeral costs," until she found out I was the life insurance beneficiary. The phone call came at 2 a.m. Mom had a stroke. By the time I reached the hospital, she was already gone. My sister Veronica was there, mascara streaming down her face, clutching our mother's purse. "Where were you?" she demanded. I'd been 3 states away, working, living my life. The funeral home quoted $18,000 for the service Veronica wanted. Mahogany casket, premium flowers, catered reception for 200 people. "We need to split this," she said, sliding the invoice across the table. I stared at the numbers. $9,000. I was working 2 jobs just to cover rent. "I can contribute $2,000, I offered. Her face hardened. "That's not fair. She was your mother too." What she didn't mention was the $340,000 condo Mom had gifted her 5 years ago, or the BMW, or the vacation home in Sedona that Veronica rented out for passive income. I got a $50 Olive Garden gift card for my birthday. "I'm doing what I can," I said quietly. She launched into a speech about family duty, about how disappointed Mom would be, about my selfishness. I sat there and took it because that's what I'd always done. The day before the funeral, Veronica called again. "The life insurance company needs the beneficiary to sign some forms. I'm handling everything, so I'll take care of it." Something in her voice made me pause. "What do you mean, beneficiary?" Silence. "Veronica, who's the beneficiary on Mom's policy?" "It's complicated," she said quickly. "We can discuss it after the funeral. Right now, we need to focus on—" I hung up and called the insurance company directly. The policy was for $750,000. The sole beneficiary? Me. My hands shook as I read the paperwork Mom had filed 8 years ago. There was a note in her handwriting. "You're the one who stayed when things got hard. You're the one who called every week. This is for you." I remembered those years. Dad's Alzheimer's. Veronica had moved to California, too busy building her lifestyle brand. I'd moved back home, sleeping on Mom's couch, helping with Dad's care until he passed. Veronica flew in for the funeral, stayed 3 days, and left. Mom and I never talked about it, but apparently she'd noticed. The funeral was exactly as Veronica planned. Expensive, showy. She gave a tearful eulogy about being Mom's best friend. I sat in the back row and said nothing. At the reception, she cornered me by the dessert table. "So, about Mom's estate. The lawyer says the house needs to be sold. We should list it next month and split everything 50-50. I took a sip of coffee. "The house is paid off, worth maybe $200,000. Seems fair?" She smiled. "I'm glad you're being reasonable. And obviously we'll split the life insurance the same way." "The life insurance?" I repeated slowly. "Right. $750,000 is a lot, but split 2 ways. It's still a good amount for both of us." I set down my cup. "Veronica, I'm the only beneficiary." Her smile froze. "What?" "Mom named me, just me, 8 years ago." The color drained from her face. "That's impossible. There must be a mistake." "No mistake. I have the paperwork." She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "You have to share it. Mom wouldn't have wanted." "Mom made her choice." I pulled free. She knew exactly what she was doing. Veronica's voice rose. People were staring. "This is insane. I'm her daughter too. I deserve half. You can't just—" "I can't?" I met her eyes. Like how I couldn't afford to split an $18,000 funeral for a mother who apparently trusted me with $750,000. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "You know what?" I said quietly. "I'll pay for the entire funeral. Consider it my gift." I started to walk away when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We need to talk about your mother's will. There's something you should know before it's read tomorrow. Attorney Whitmore." I looked up to find Veronica staring at her own phone, her face white as paper. The lawyer had sent her the same message. Attorney Whitmore's office was downtown in one of those old buildings with marble floors and brass fixtures. The kind of place that charged $500 an hour just for looking at you. I arrived 15 minutes early. Veronica was already there, perched on the edge of a leather chair like a bird ready to bolt. She didn't acknowledge me. I didn't acknowledge her. At exactly 10 a.m., a woman in her 60s emerged from the inner office. Gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, reading glasses on a chain. She looked like she'd seen every family drama imaginable and had stopped being surprised decades ago. "Come in, both of you." Her office was all dark wood and law books. 2 chairs sat facing her desk. Veronica took one. I took the other. We maintained exactly 3 feet of distance. "I'll be direct," Whitmore said, settling into her chair. "Your mother updated her will 6 months ago. The previous version, filed 12 years ago, split everything equally between you both." Veronica's spine straightened. Hope flickered across her face. "The new version," Whitmore continued, "is considerably different." She slid 2 folders across the desk. Mine was thick. Veronica's was thin. I opened mine. The first page was a letter in Mom's handwriting. My throat tightened as I recognized the loops and curves of her script. "My dearest girl, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I hope I had time to tell you how proud I am of you. But knowing me, I probably didn't say it enough. I've watched you struggle. Watched you work yourself to exhaustion while your sister collected the gifts I gave her and asked for more. I've seen you call every Sunday, even when you were dead tired. Seen you remember my birthday, my favorite flowers, the anniversary of your father's death. Veronica thinks love is measured in Instagram posts and expensive gifts. You taught me it's measured in showing up. The house is yours, the car is yours, my jewelry, my savings account, everything. I've left Veronica with exactly what she gave me over the past decade. Nothing. Don't let her make you feel guilty. You earned this by being my daughter when it mattered. I love you always. Mom." My hands shook. I couldn't look up. Couldn't let Veronica see the tears burning in my eyes. Across the desk, I heard paper rustling, then a sharp intake of breath. "This is bullshit," Veronica hissed. Whitmore's expression didn't change. "Your mother was of sound mind when she made these changes. I have documentation from 2 doctors confirming her mental competency." She was being manipulated, Veronica said, pointing at me. She was poisoning Mom against me. I finally looked up. I was 3 states away. How exactly was I manipulating anyone? You always played the victim. Made yourself look like the devoted daughter while I was building a career. You were building a lifestyle brand selling essential oils on Instagram, I said flatly. Mom needed actual help, not a fucking discount code for lavender oil. Whitmore cleared her throat. Ladies, I understand this is emotional, but the will is ironclad. Your mother left specific instructions. She pulled out another document. The house, valued at $215,000, the 2019 Honda Accord, a savings account with $43,000, various jewelry and personal items. All to you, she said, nodding at me. And me? Veronica's voice was ice. Your mother left you her Bible and a letter. A Bible. Veronica laughed. It was a terrible sound. 28 years of being her daughter and I get a fucking Bible. Perhaps you should read the letter, Whitmore suggested gently. Veronica snatched the envelope from her folder and tore it open. Her eyes scanned the page. I watched her face cycle through emotions. Confusion, anger, something that might have been shame. Then she crumpled the letter and threw it at me. Read it, she spat. Read what a saint Mom thought you were. I smoothed out the paper. Mom's handwriting again, but shakier this time. This must have been written recently when her arthritis was bad. Veronica, I'm leaving you the Bible your grandmother gave me because I hope someday you'll open it and understand what real faith means. It means showing up. It means sacrifice. It means loving people even when it's inconvenient. You have a $340,000 condo I bought you. You have a BMW. You have rental properties and investments. You have everything money can buy. What you don't have is the memory of sitting with your father while he died. Your sister has that. She held his hand when he didn't recognize her anymore. She sang him the songs he loved even though he couldn't understand the words. You don't have the memory of calling me every Sunday for 8 years, of listening to me talk about my garden, my aches, my boring life. Your sister has that. I gave you money because that's what you wanted. I gave your sister my time because that's what she gave me. If you're angry, look in the mirror. The daughter I raised would have come home. The daughter I raised would have cared about more than her Instagram following. I hope someday you become that daughter again. Mom. Silence filled the office. Veronica stood abruptly. I'm contesting this. I'll tie you up in court for years. You'll spend every penny of that inheritance on lawyers. Whitmore sighed. You can certainly try. But your mother anticipated that possibility. She pulled out yet another document. She established an irrevocable trust. The assets transfer immediately upon her death. There's nothing to contest except the personal items, which aren't worth the legal fees you'd incur. You helped her do this, Veronica said, turning her fury on the lawyer. You convinced her to cut me out. I advised your mother on the legal mechanisms to ensure her wishes were carried out. Those wishes were entirely her own. Whitmore stood. This meeting is concluded. My office will handle the transfer paperwork. You'll both receive copies of all relevant documents. Veronica grabbed her purse. At the door, she turned back to me. You know what? Keep it. Keep all of it. I hope it makes you happy, knowing you turned our mother against me. I didn't have to turn her against you, I said quietly. You did that yourself by never showing up. She slammed the door so hard, the law books rattled. Whitmore and I sat in the echoing silence. Your mother was a remarkable woman, she finally said. She came to me 6 months ago with a very clear vision of what she wanted. She spent 2 hours explaining her reasoning. I asked her multiple times if she was certain. She never wavered. Did she seem angry when she made these changes? No. Whitmore smiled slightly. She seemed sad, but also resolved. She said she'd spent years making excuses for your sister, and she was tired of pretending it didn't hurt. I pressed my palms against my eyes. I didn't want this. The money, the house. I just wanted her to know I loved her. She knew. Whitmore's voice was gentle. Why do you think she left you everything? The house smelled like Mom when I opened the door. Lavender and vanilla and old books. I stood in the entryway and let the memories wash over me. This was where I'd learned to ride a bike in the driveway, where I'd cried over my first breakup at the kitchen table, where I'd slept on the couch for 2 years, listening to Dad wander the halls at night, confused and frightened, where I'd called Mom every Sunday, sitting in my tiny apartment, telling her about my week while she told me about her garden. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. You should be ashamed of yourself. Your sister is devastated. You destroyed this family. Then another. Gold-digging bitch. Your mom would be ashamed. And another. Veronica told us what you did. You're disgusting. Veronica had posted on social media. I pulled up her Instagram against my better judgment. The post was a photo of her and Mom from 5 years ago, both smiling at some restaurant. The caption read, I'm heartbroken to share that my mother passed away last week. Even more devastating, my sister manipulated her into changing her will while she was sick and vulnerable. Mom would have wanted us to be equals, but my sister's greed destroyed that. I've lost my mother and my sister in the same week. Please keep me in your prayers during this difficult time. The comments were exactly what she'd wanted. Hundreds of people calling me awful names, telling her they were sorry, offering to start a GoFundMe to help her fight this injustice. I blocked her, blocked the numbers sending me hate messages, put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Then I walked through Mom's house and remembered. The next 3 months were a blur of paperwork and logistics. I took a leave of absence from my jobs, hired an estate sale company to handle Mom's furniture, kept only the pieces that mattered, her recipe box, Dad's watch, the quilt her mother had made. I sold Mom's Honda and used the money to pay off my credit cards, put the house on the market. It sold in 2 weeks for $225,000. Between that and the life insurance and the savings account, I had just over $1 million. It didn't feel real. I'd been living paycheck to paycheck for so long that having money was disorienting, like learning to breathe underwater. My friend Teresa helped me find a financial advisor, a woman named Patricia Chen who came highly recommended and didn't talk to me like I was stupid for never having investments before. "Your mother left you a remarkable gift," she said at our first meeting. "Let's make sure you honor it by being smart." We set up investment accounts, maxed out retirement contributions, created an emergency fund. Patricia walked me through every decision, explaining the reasoning, never making me feel inadequate. "You could buy a house outright," she suggested. "No mortgage. Imagine that freedom." I could barely imagine it. I've never lived anywhere without worrying about rent. Then start imagining. I found a small house on the outskirts of town. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a yard big enough for a garden. It needed work, but it was structurally sound. The asking price was $145,000. I made an offer, cash. The sellers accepted within an hour. 30 days later, I owned a house. No mortgage, no landlord, mine. I planted tomatoes in the backyard, just like Mom used to. Veronica's social media campaign continued for weeks. She posted about family betrayal and honoring our mother's true wishes. Her followers ate it up. She gained 15,000 new followers in a month. She started a GoFundMe to contest the fraudulent will. It raised $8,000 in 3 days. Then Whitmore sent her a cease and desist letter, and the GoFundMe was shut down for violating fraud policies. Turned out you can't raise money to contest a will that's not actually contestable. Veronica was furious. She left me a voicemail at 3:00 a.m., screaming about how I'd ruined her life, how she'd had to cancel her vacation to Bali, how her followers were turning against her now that they knew the truth. I saved the voicemail, didn't respond. My aunt, Mom's sister, called a week later. "I need to talk to you about your mother's will." Here we go, I thought. Another family member coming to tell me I should share. "I just wanted to say I'm proud of you for not caving to Veronica's tantrums," Aunt Helen said instead. "Your mother talked to me about the changes she was making. She wanted someone in the family to know her reasoning. She did? Your sister has always been my niece and I love her, but she's been spoiled rotten since birth. Your grandmother started it, always fawning over her because she was the first grandchild. Your mother tried to balance it by giving you both equal love, but Veronica only wanted gifts." Aunt Helen sighed. "When your father got sick, I watched your sister make excuse after excuse. And I watched you drop everything to come home. Your mother noticed. She noticed everything. Veronica thinks I poisoned Mom against her. Veronica poisoned herself by never showing up. There's a difference." We talked for an hour. Aunt Helen told me stories about Mom I'd never heard, about how proud she was of me, about how she'd worried I was working myself to death, about how she'd wanted to help, but knew I was too stubborn to accept money I hadn't earned. "The inheritance was her way of helping without bruising your pride," Aunt Helen said. She was a smart woman. After we hung up, I sat in my new kitchen, my kitchen, and cried. The good kind of crying, the kind that feels like releasing something heavy you've been carrying too long. 6 months after Mom died, I quit one of my jobs. I didn't need to anymore. I kept working at the hospital because I actually liked it, but I cut back to 4 days a week instead of 6. For the first time in my adult life, I had weekends. I started taking art classes, learned to paint. I was terrible at it, but it didn't matter. I painted anyway. I joined a book club, made friends who didn't know anything about my family drama. We just talked about books and drank wine and laughed. I went on a date. It went badly, but I went on another one anyway. That one went better. I started living instead of just surviving. One Sunday, I was working in my garden when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello? It's Veronica." I stood up, dirt falling from my knees. "What do you want?" Silence for a long moment. "I'm in trouble." "Not my problem. Please, just listen." Against my better judgment, I listened. Veronica's lifestyle brand had collapsed. Turned out when you base your entire business on being blessed and living your best life, losing a very public family inheritance battle kills your credibility. Her followers had dwindled. Her sponsors had dropped her. The rental income from the Sedona property wasn't enough to cover her expenses. She'd taken out loans against the condo, then loans to pay those loans. Now she was drowning in debt and facing foreclosure. "I need help," she said. "I need money." I laughed. Couldn't help it. "You're calling me for money? You have Mom's life insurance. You have everything. I have nothing. You have a $340,000 condo. Or you did before you mortgaged it to death. I'm going to lose it. Everything. I'll be homeless. Get a job. I have a job. My brand? Your brand is dead, Veronica. You killed it by being exactly who you've always been. Selfish, entitled, incapable of thinking about anyone but yourself. I'm your sister," she said, and her voice broke. "Please." I closed my eyes. Thought about Mom's letter. About Veronica throwing it at me. About the voicemails and the social media posts and the years of taking without giving. "No," I said quietly. "No, I'm not giving you money. I'm not saving your condo. I'm not fixing the mess you made of your life. But Mom would have wanted. Mom wanted you to learn that actions have consequences. She said so in her letter, the one you threw at me. I didn't mean those things I said. I was angry. You're not angry now. You're desperate. There's a difference. So you're just going to let me lose everything? You're going to lose what you failed to appreciate. Your condo, your car, your image. Maybe then you'll figure out what actually matters. You're heartless." "No," I said. "I'm finally learning to protect myself from you." I hung up. She called back 17 times. I blocked her number. 2 weeks later, Aunt Helen called again. "Veronica reached out to everyone in the family for money. She's burning through relatives like wildfire. Did you give her anything?" I loaned her $5,000 with very clear terms. "She'll pay me back or I'll take her to small claims court." "She's not going to pay you back." "I know," Aunt Helen said. But I wanted her to know that family help comes with accountability, something she never learned. A year after Mom's death, I was promoted at the hospital. Better hours, better pay. I didn't need it, thanks to Mom's planning, but it felt good to earn it anyway. I'd been dating Timothy for 3 months. He was a high school teacher, patient and kind, with a sense of humor that caught me off guard. He knew about the inheritance, about Veronica, about all of it. He'd listened without judgment and said, "Your mom sounds like she was an incredible woman." She was. I wish I could have met her. On the anniversary of Mom's death, I planted a rose bush in my garden, pink roses, her favorite. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I hope you're happy. They foreclosed on my condo. I'm living with a friend and working retail. This is all your fault. Veronica." New number. I deleted the message, blocked the number. Timothy came over that evening with takeout and flowers. We ate on my back porch, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and purple. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," and I meant it. I'm okay. 18 months after Mom's death, Veronica showed up at my house. I was washing dishes when I saw her car in the driveway, a beat-up Honda Civic, not the BMW. She'd lost that too. She knocked on the door. I considered not answering, but curiosity won. She looked different, tired, older. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail instead of the styled waves she used to post on Instagram. No makeup, jeans, and a plain t-shirt. "What do you want?" I asked through the screen door. "To talk, please. We have nothing to talk about. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking." I should have said no, but something in her face, something defeated and genuine, made me open the door. We sat on my porch. She stared at the garden, at the pink roses. "Mom's favorite," she said quietly. "I know." Silence stretched between us. "I lost everything," she finally said. "The condo, the car, my business. I'm working at Target and living in a studio apartment with 2 roommates. I'm 35 years old and sharing a bathroom with strangers." "I'm sorry," I said, and part of me meant it. "I was angry at you for a long time, blamed you for everything. But the truth is," she trailed off, picking at her cuticles, "a nervous habit from childhood. The truth is, I lost everything because of me, because I spent money I didn't have trying to maintain an image that was always fake." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I read Mom's letter again, really read it. And she was right about everything." Veronica's voice cracked. "I was a terrible daughter. I was selfish and shallow, and I took her for granted. I took you for granted." "Yes," I said. "You did. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve forgiveness. But I needed you to know that I finally understand what Mom was trying to teach me." She pulled something from her pocket. Mom's Bible, the one she'd been left in the will. "I've been reading it," she said, "every night. There's a verse Mom highlighted, Matthew 6:21. "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." She opened the Bible. Inside the front cover, Mom had written names and dates. Her handwriting filled the margins with notes and prayers. "Look," Veronica said, pointing to a passage. Mom had underlined it and written in the margin, "For my girls. I pray they understand." The verse read, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God." Below that, Mom had written, "V has treasure but no heart. My prayer is that losing the treasure will help her find her heart." I felt tears building. Mom had hoped for this, planned for it even. "She wanted you to fall," I said slowly. "She wanted you to hit bottom so you'd finally look up." Veronica nodded, tears streaming down her face. I was so angry when I read that, but now I get it. I needed to lose everything to find out who I was without it. We sat in silence. "I'm not asking for money," Veronica said. "I'm not asking for anything except maybe someday, if you can. Maybe we could have coffee, as sisters, not as enemies." I looked at her, really looked at her. The designer clothes were gone. The perfect makeup was gone. The carefully curated image was gone. What remained was a person I barely recognized. Someone humble, someone broken, someone who might finally be real. "Maybe," I said. "Someday." She nodded, stood to leave. At the steps, she turned back. "The garden looks beautiful. Mom would have loved it." "I know," I said. After she left, I sat on the porch for a long time, thinking about Mom, about her plan, about the way she'd loved both of us enough to give us what we needed, not what we wanted. I'd needed security, stability, a foundation to build a real life. Veronica had needed to fall, to lose, to learn what actually mattered. Mom had given us both exactly that. 2 years after Mom's death, I married Timothy in my backyard. Small ceremony, 20 people. Aunt Helen walked me down the aisle between the tomato plants and rose bushes. Veronica wasn't there. I hadn't invited her, but she sent a card with a note inside. "Congratulations. I'm happy you found someone who deserves you. Love, V." I put the card in my memory box with Mom's letters. Timothy and I honeymooned in Vermont. Nothing fancy. We hiked and ate at local diners and slept in a bed and breakfast that smelled like pine. When we got back, there was a message on my voicemail. "Hey, it's me," Veronica's voice. "I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I needed to tell you something. I've been in therapy for 6 months, working through a lot of stuff about Mom and Dad and how I was raised. My therapist asked me to make amends with people I hurt. You're at the top of that list." She took a shaky breath. "I'm sorry for all of it, for being a terrible sister, for making you feel less than, for caring more about money than people, for everything. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed you to know I'm trying to be better, the kind of person Mom hoped I'd become. Anyway, that's all. I hope you're happy. You deserve it." The message ended. I saved it. 3 years after Mom's death, Veronica called. I'd unblocked her number months earlier, though I wasn't sure why. "I need to tell you something," she said. "Okay, I'm engaged." I felt a flash of something, not jealousy, maybe protectiveness. "To who?" "His name is David. He's a teacher. He has no money and drives a 15-year-old truck, and he's the best person I've ever met." "How did you meet?" "He shops at the Target where I work. He'd come in every Tuesday to buy groceries and we'd talk while I rang him up. One day he asked if I wanted to get coffee. I said yes." She sounded different, lighter. "He knows about everything," Veronica continued. "The money I lost, the foreclosure, the Instagram meltdown, all of it. And he doesn't care. He loves me anyway." "That's good," I said. And I meant it. "I wanted to tell you because, Because you were right. About everything. I needed to lose it all to find something real. And now I have, thanks to Mom's plan. She always was the smart one. Veronica laughed. It sounded genuine. Will you come to the wedding? It's going to be small. David's family and a few friends. We're having it at his parents' farm. Nothing fancy. I thought about it. About the years of pain and anger. About Mom's letters and her plan. About the garden and the roses and the way time changes things. I'll think about it, I said. That's more than I deserve. After we hung up, I told Timothy about the conversation. What do you want to do? He asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to keep her at a distance forever. But part of me wonders if Mom would want me to give her a chance. What do you want, though? Not what Mom would want. What do you want? I sat with that question. What did I want? I wanted to stop carrying anger. I wanted to stop looking over my shoulder. I wanted to move forward without the weight of family drama dragging behind me. Maybe that meant giving Veronica a chance. A small one. A conditional one. I'll go to the wedding, I told Timothy. But I'm not ready for more than that. That seems fair. Veronica's wedding was nothing like I expected. No designer dress, no fancy venue, no Instagram photographer capturing every moment. Just a backyard ceremony with wildflowers and homemade food and people who genuinely cared about the couple. Veronica wore a simple white dress from a department store. She cried during her vows. David cried too. I watched my sister promise to love someone in sickness and health, for richer or poorer, and I believed her. At the reception, she pulled me aside. Thank you for coming, she said. It means more than you know. You look happy. I am. She glanced at David, who was laughing with his father. I spent so many years chasing the wrong things. Money, status, followers. None of it made me happy. But this, she gestured at the simple celebration. This is everything. Mom would be proud, I said. Veronica's eyes filled with tears. You think so? I know so. We stood there awkwardly. Then Veronica did something she hadn't done in years. She hugged me. I hugged her back. I don't expect us to be close, she said when we pulled apart. I know I destroyed that. But maybe we can be sisters again. Eventually. Maybe, I said. One step at a time. 4 years after Mom's death, I found out I was pregnant. Timothy and I had been trying for 6 months. When the test showed positive, I sat on the bathroom floor and cried. I wished Mom was here to tell. She would have been so excited. I called Veronica instead. I don't know why, but it felt right. I'm going to be an aunt, she said, her voice breaking. Really? Really? Can I? Would it be okay if I came to visit sometime? After the baby's born? We'll see how it goes, I said. But maybe. That night, I sat in the nursery we were setting up and thought about Mom's plan. About how she'd orchestrated everything to teach Veronica a lesson while securing my future. Had it worked? I didn't know yet. Veronica seemed genuinely changed, but time would tell if it lasted. What I did know was that Mom had given me everything I needed to build a real life. Security. Stability. The freedom to make choices based on what I wanted, not what I could afford. And in the process, she'd given Veronica the chance to become someone better. The inheritance wasn't just about money. It was about love. The kind of love that sees your children clearly and gives them what they need, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. 5 years after Mom's death, I gave birth to a daughter. We named her Rose, after the flowers Mom loved. Veronica came to meet her niece when Rose was 3 weeks old. She brought a handmade quilt. No expensive gifts. No designer baby clothes. Just something she'd made herself with her own hands. It's not perfect, she said, showing me the uneven stitches. But I wanted to make something for her. Something that mattered. I ran my hand over the quilt. It was blue and yellow and white. Simple, but beautiful. It's perfect, I said. Veronica held Rose carefully, like she was made of glass. She's beautiful. She looks like Mom. I know. We sat together in the nursery, watching Rose sleep. I've been thinking about Mom a lot, Veronica said quietly. About her letter. About how she said she hoped I'd become the daughter she raised again. And? I don't think I'll ever be that daughter. That girl died when I chose status over substance. But maybe I can be someone better. Someone new. Mom would like that. Veronica looked at me. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? For real? I considered the question. Thought about the years of resentment and pain. About the way she'd treated me like I was less than. About the social media attacks and the demands for money. But I also thought about the woman sitting next to me now. The one who'd lost everything and rebuilt herself into someone humble. Someone real. I'm working on it, I said honestly. Some days are easier than others. That's fair. Rose started to fuss. I picked her up, settling her against my shoulder. I want her to have an aunt, I said. A real one. Someone who shows up. Can you be that person? Veronica's eyes filled with tears. I can try. I want to try. Then that's enough, for now. 7 years after Mom's death, Veronica and David had their first child, a boy named Thomas. I went to the hospital to meet him, brought a gift, a savings bond for $1,000. You didn't have to do this, Veronica said, looking at the bond. Mom set up a trust for Rose. I thought Thomas should have something too. But the will was what Mom wanted then. This is what I want now, Veronica cried. Again. She cried a lot these days. Happy tears mostly. Thank you, she whispered, for giving me a chance, for not giving up on me completely. You gave up the old you, I said. That's what mattered. Rose toddled over to see the baby. She was 2 now, curious about everything. Baby, she said, pointing. That's your cousin Thomas, I told her. He's family. Family. The word felt different now. Less weighted. Less painful. Mom had broken our family apart with her will, but in the breaking, she'd forced us to rebuild it better. Stronger. Real. 10 years after Mom's death, Veronica and I stood in a cemetery, planting flowers on her grave. Pink roses. Still her favorite. I come here every Sunday, Veronica said. Tell her about my week. About Thomas and David. About my job. She'd been promoted to store manager at Target. It wasn't glamorous, but she was proud of it. I talked to her too, I said. Thank her for the garden, for the house, for everything. Do you think she knew? Veronica asked. How everything would turn out? I thought about Mom's letters, about her planning, about the way she'd orchestrated every detail. She hoped, I said. She believed in both of us enough to give us what we needed, even when what I needed was to lose everything, especially then. We finished planting the roses, stood back to look at the grave. The headstone read, "Beloved Mother. She gave us roots and wings." I used to hate that inscription, Veronica admitted. Thought it was cheesy. But now I get it. She gave you roots, the house, the stability, and she gave me wings by forcing me to fly without the safety net of her money. We both got what we needed. Yeah, Veronica smiled. We did. Rose and Thomas ran between the headstones playing some imaginary game. They were best friends, despite the age gap. They don't know about the will, Veronica said, watching them. About the inheritance battle. Not yet. Someday we'll tell them. When they're old enough to understand. What will we say? I thought about it. We'll tell them their grandmother was a smart woman who loved her daughters enough to teach them hard lessons, and that sometimes the greatest gift isn't money. It's being forced to become who you're meant to be. Veronica nodded. I like that. We stood together in the cemetery, two sisters who'd lost everything and found it again. Not the money or the status or the image, but each other. And that, I realized, was what Mom had wanted all along. 15 years after Mom's death, I received a letter from Veronica's lawyer. My stomach dropped. After all these years of rebuilding, was she contesting something? Demanding something? I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a document. Veronica's will. She'd named me as executor, left everything to Thomas, but with specific instructions. There was a letter attached. Dear sis, don't panic. I'm not dead. I'm just getting my affairs in order because I'm finally responsible now. Weird, right? I wanted you to see this. To know that I've left Thomas everything I have, which isn't much, but it's honest. It's earned. Nothing gifted. Nothing borrowed against. And I've included something for Rose too. Not money. Something better. I've written her letters, one for every birthday until she's 30. In them, I've told her the truth about everything, about Mom's will, about how I lost everything, about how your mother, my sister, gave me a second chance I didn't deserve. I want her to know that wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in who shows up, who stays, who loves you when you're broken. You taught me that, by refusing to save me, by making me save myself. So thank you, for being exactly what I needed, even when I hated you for it. Love, your sister. I read the letter 3 times. Then I called Veronica. You're not dying, are you? I asked when she answered. She laughed. No, just thinking about the future, about legacy. The letters for Rose are beautiful. I meant every word. We talked for an hour. About our kids, about our jobs, about the lives we'd built from the ashes of what we'd lost. I never thanked Mom properly, Veronica said, for destroying me, for giving me a chance to rebuild into someone worth being. Thank her now, I suggested. She's listening. That Sunday, Veronica went to the cemetery alone. She brought pink roses and sat by the grave for 2 hours. I don't know what she said to Mom, but when she came to my house afterward, her eyes were red but peaceful. I told her I finally understood, she said, that her plan worked, that I'm grateful. She knows, I said, and I believed it. 20 years after Mom's death, Rose graduated from college, magna cum laude, full scholarship. She gave a speech at graduation about the importance of family, about her grandmother who died before she was born but whose love had shaped everything. My grandmother left my mother an inheritance, Rose said to the crowd. Not just money, but a lesson. That true wealth is built on sacrifice and showing up and being present for the people you love. She looked at me in the audience, at Veronica beside me, and she left my aunt a different kind of inheritance. The gift of rock bottom, the chance to rebuild, the opportunity to become someone real. Rose smiled. Some people would call that cruelty. I call it the greatest love, loving someone enough to let them fall so they can learn to stand on their own. After the ceremony, we gathered at my house, the whole family. Veronica and David and Thomas, Timothy and me and Rose, Aunt Helen, who'd lived long enough to see both nieces become the women Mom had hoped for. We sat in the garden, surrounded by pink roses. To Mom, I said, raising a glass, who gave us exactly what we needed, even when we didn't want it, Veronica added. Especially then, we said together. Rose and Thomas rolled their eyes at our sentimentality. They were young. They didn't understand yet. But someday they would. Someday they'd face their own hard choices, their own losses, their own opportunities to become who they were meant to be. And when they did, they'd have the lessons Mom had taught us. The ones that came wrapped in legal documents and impossible choices. The ones that said, love isn't always soft. Sometimes it's sharp. Sometimes it cuts away what's fake to reveal what's real. Sometimes it destroys to rebuild. Sometimes it takes everything away to give you what you truly need. That's the inheritance Mom left us. Not money, truth. And in the end, that was worth more than $750,000 could ever be.